on WP 88.7 FM Brave New Radio.
Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning to you. And yes, believe it or not, another week has gone by. It is Saturday morning again. And if you can hear the sound of this voice, that means you're listening to another edition of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. And this is your host, Marc Medley. We are with you live here on WP 88.7 FM and GoBrave.org, where we meet each Saturday morning from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. for the Reading Circle, and then we move right on into the M&M hour, which is the good news and song, and that continues right on into the 8 o'clock hour, which is the Martha and Friends hour, which is a continuation of the good news and song. As I just shared with you, the weather right now in the Wayne, New Jersey area, it's 63.8 degrees, a little bit warmer than it was last Saturday when I stepped into the studio. We are moving to a high of 78. We have a 20% chance of rain. It's going to clear up tonight and be mostly cleared, moving to a low of 59. And then for tomorrow, Sunday, generally sunny despite a few afternoon clouds. We're going to have a high of 81, dropping to a low of 59. And then Monday, sunny skies, high around 85. Monday night expected to be mainly clear. Then a few clouds later on, with a low around 60. And then for Tuesday, some clouds in the morning will give way to mainly sunny skies for the afternoon, high of 86, a low of 62. And then as we round out the forecast for 5 days or so, Wednesday, expected to be sunny, high of 89 with a low of 66. 10% chance of rain on Wednesday evening. So equip yourself accordingly to stay warm, stay dry, stay cool, whatever it is that you would like to stay body temperature wise. That's the forecast to equip yourself accordingly. The weather was brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. Well, if you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, you know that I read from 2 books as we kick the show off. The only purpose for that is a couple things, actually. One, it gets my voice up and going on the microphone. Secondly, it sets a positive tone for the rest of the morning, as they are daily devotionals. They are perpetuals. They do not have a year associated with them, but they following God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. That's from the book What Can Happen When We Pray, and from Iyanla Van Zandt from her book Until Today for August the 23rd. She says, I am faith-filled and fear-free because my heart always knows what I need to know. There are some things you simply must ponder in your own heart. There are things that you would ask of others which can only be answered in your own heart. There are things that others cannot see for you and say to you. If they could or would, their answers would have no meaning for you. You would not be able to recognize the divine gift being offered just to you. Some things are simply matters of the heart. In response to some things you face in life, only your heart knows what is right for you, what is good for you, and what is best for you. Have faith. Your heart has the answer that you cannot seem to get from anywhere else. When your heart has something it wants you to know, it will shut down all other means of communication just to make sure that you can hear and will hear what it needs to say. Until today, you may have believed that there is someone else who knows, or someone somewhere else you need to go to get certain answers about your life. Just for today, ask in your own heart about those things for which there seem to be no answer. Today, I'm devoted to making an inquiry and receiving a divine answer from my own heart. That's from the book Until Today by Iyanla Van Zandt. daily devotions for spiritual growth and peace of mind. And as I always tell you, I'm always fascinated. How the readings for the morning generally either connects to each other or connects to the guest. Day Morning Love, 52 commentaries. Let me see, let me go back there. Wait, 52. My screen changed on me right in the middle of reading this. So, you know, we will come that because I have the book now in front of me because I was right in the middle of reading her bio. And make sure the computer does not lock up on me. There we go. Now we are back. She's the author of the new inspirational book, Tuesday Morning Love, 52 commentaries and weekly affirmations to honor the soul within the soldier, and emerging radio talk show host of Tuesday Morning Love. As a veteran of the literary arts, Rochelle has identified the purpose of her voice through writing and commentary on transforming stories that strengthen the heart and unlock the soul's highest potential. She uses the chronicles of her own life and the narratives of others to demonstrate how to overcome many of life's most challenging obstacles in order to sustain clarity, courage, and contentment. Rochelle's professional background of more than 24 years in multimedia communications and foreign affairs afford her the ability to understand people well and use that understanding effectively in influencing and persuading others to act. She currently serves as a change agent on the board of directors and council of advisors of the National Black Women's Town Hall, a nonprofit intergenerational think tank convening meaningful conversations with black women on the campuses of historically black colleges and universities. As well, she serves as chairman of the board of directors for WOMA, philanthropist, activist, and composer of the popular national monthly e-newsletter NBWTH Happenings, National Black Women's Town Hall. Welcome to the Reading Circle, Rochelle Soetan. Rochelle, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Marc. How are you?
I am well, thanks. As we talked a couple of minutes before going on the air for this early in the morning.
Yes.
But, you know, oddly enough, some people really are like, this is their time of day. I mean, it's not necessarily mine, even though I do it and I've done it for years. But for some people, this is like, wow, this is the time.
Yes.
And
well, good morning, New Jersey.
All right.
And, you know, it's a beautiful time of morning for me. It's my time of prayer and meditation. So
there you go. There you go. You prove exactly what I just said. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. I tell the folks all the time, because I used to say, you know, we'll be right back. But the truth of the matter is we're not going anywhere. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that we're going anywhere. And I don't want them to go anywhere. So what I do is I tell them we're going to share some information with you during these next 30, 60 seconds or so. But in the meantime, you listen to that, and then you let somebody know that Rochelle is on the line with me. So you get on your social media sites, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever it is that you're on. And you let folks know that we're on the air and they need to tune in to gobrave.org, particularly for the next hour and preferably for the next 3 hours. One of the talk show hosts says, you know, I'm just looking for 3 hours of your day. I can kind of sort of say the same thing. I'm just looking for these 3 hours between now and 9 o'clock a.m. of your day. But in any event, if you get them on right now, because I know we're going to have a fun interview, I can tell just from the various emails, I could feel Rochelle's spirit through the emails. And then when we connected this morning on the telephone, so I know we're going to have a wonderful time. So let somebody know that Rochelle Soetan is on the air, and I'm going to share this information with you. And don't you dare move unless you're doing what I just asked you to do. And make sure you stay somewhere close to your speakers so that you can stay informed. All right, so I'm going to share this with you, and then we're going to move along.
This year, firefighters like Fire Chief James Hall will battle wildfires around the country in hopes of containing them. But firefighters can't do it alone.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile, or it can ignite and destroy your home and community.
Get fire adapted. Learn simple steps you can take now to reduce wildfire damage later at fireadapted.org. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids and can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making...
Where did the whole writing thing for you begin? Because it varies author by author. For some, they say, I just started. Others say, I've been doing this since I was in second and third grade. Kind of help us understand, where did this literary love begin for you?
Well, Mark, I have been writing for a very long time. Ever since I can remember, I started writing poetry when I was 6 years old, and I grew up in Boston for the first 10 years of my life, and it just became
that reading is the foundation of everything else. I mean,
yeah.
Math, social studies, science, on and on and on. That if you can read and comprehend well, pretty much everything else will fall into place along with that. And reading and writing are connected. So that's why I asked the question, were you a reader as a child also?
Yes, I was a reader as a child, and of course, when you are an avid reader, you become a creative writer, or you can become a creative writer. I love to read literature that just opens up the mind, ignites the soul. I'm always looking to learn something new, and education has always been, in the forefront of everything that I do. So I love gaining more knowledge. So yes, I'm in agreement with you.
So in terms of, you said you've been writing since you were a child. Did you have anybody encourage you and say, you know what, Rochelle, this stuff is pretty good. You know what, I think you got something going on there. I think you have some literary talent. Did you have folks encourage, or was it one of those, like you didn't, I don't want to say you didn't need that, but it was kind of like, I didn't hear it, but I still kept doing it. I mean, what kind of talk or share with us, what was your experience as folks began to read your work, particularly at such a young age?
Well, I think that my mother initially kind of knew that I had a passion for writing. I would, it's a funny little story, I would go to bed with a pen and pad, like kind of tucked under my, and I knew at that point that this was what I wanted to do.
So
I did have people too. I did have people along the way too that encouraged me. My junior high school humanities teacher was one of the people that really kind of brought to the light that this was something that I was really good at. Sometimes people can see our gifts before
Correct.
we see our gifts.
That's right.
and so we all need those kinds of mentors in our lives that just kind of help push us forward and say, yeah, this is something you're really good at. And my friends, we would be given an assignment in class, and let's just say it was a 15-minute essay assignment, and I'd be done in 5 minutes, and I'd already have my little spill down on paper, and one of my classmates would be going, I can't do that.
Figuring out math problems and doing this, that, and the other thing. I said, I just don't get it. I don't know how you do that. And they would look at me, because I'm thinking in terms of like the writing and the language arts part would be the easier part. It's kind of like, if you could do the math, the writing ought to be easy. And they would look at me like, like, no, we don't know how you do that.
And you'll find that often between math and science and English people. It's because math is not my forte. I have more of an appreciation for it now, but of course back then, I tried to stay away from it, and I just had friends who they could do math in their sleep. They could do calculus, blindfolded, and it wasn't something I could do, but I could write a story.
Exactly. Now, see, I'm laughing because I can relate, because I was the exact same way. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting here and I was listening to you talk about your experiences, and two of my high school literature teachers popped into mind, Catherine Fava and Marilyn DiMartino. And I had Marilyn DiMartino for writing and literature, and I had Catherine Faber for creative writing. And I can remember writing the poem. I remember one of my poems won the Mother's Day contest for the city, and had the opportunity to read it in front of a whole bunch of people in the city park. And so you brought back some like flashback memories for me there in terms of being in class in high school. But you're right in terms of, like when the rest of the kids, some kids are struggling with the writing and reading, and you just sit there and knock it out. One of the things that I'm finding, and I don't know if you find this anything, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but with the generation that we're dealing now with the kids, because of everything that is available to them, it's almost kind of like, in some respects, for some, now I won't say all and generalize, diminished their imagination. Because in order to write, you have to have something going on inside. Like you said, I got to get this out of me onto paper, from pen to paper, from out of my head onto paper. That requires you to have an imagination. Did you have, or do you have, a vivid imagination?
I believe I do, Mark. And, again, I read a lot. I pay attention to life. It's just where I've evolved to. I pay attention to everything, the sky, behavior, human behaviors, the cars, butterflies. It just really doesn't matter. I think it's all relative, and there's always, always, always something to write about. I mean, there is never a dull moment. And, I think in every negative story, there's a positive in it. So I have chosen to write about more of the positive things about life, but also the challenges and the adversities, and kind of my writing has evolved into kind of inspirational writing to show people, how to come out of a dark hole, how to overcome basically any kind of adversity that life throws at you. So yes, you do have to have an imagination. It's important to have an open mind. I try to always have an open mind, weigh the scale, just stay non-judgmental. All of those things kind of factor into my writing.
And it's interesting you were saying in terms of observing life. And I know you have your Tuesday Morning Love blog. I have a blog as well. It's called The Critical Thinker. Mm-hmm. And the purpose or the impetus of The Critical Thinker is just that, is that you observe everything that's going around. And for me, I'll pick something that most people will take for granted or either overlook.
Exactly.
And that's what I'll write about in The Critical Thinker, just to bring it to mind. Like, I'm sitting here and something like odd will strike me. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to put that in the blog. But you're right, just being observant. Now, this is going to sound odd. For those of you in the listening audience, it's going to sound odd to you, but there are a lot of people that do not observe what's going on around. They're just moving through, making the motions. And they're almost like clueless as to things that are going on. And I mean, they know the everyday things, that they're routines. But in terms of just being able to pick out a whole lot of different things that's going on around them in life, many people just are not there for whatever reason, whether it's busy schedule, whether it's preoccupied with other things that are going on. But whenever you just sit sometime and just observe, like you said, you'll see the humor, you'll see the sadness, you'll see the anger, you'll see so many different things going on, and not just in people. You'll see it going on in inanimate objects and and vehicles and everything, because everything kind of like has their own little rhythm and own little language if you stop to take a look at it. And I'm so glad you said that, I'm writing from the inspirational or the positive standpoint, but at the same time understanding there are challenges, because, we deal with so much negativity.
Yes. And I mean, you could basically observe an ant crawling on the ground, and that is the beauty of silence. Several times a year, I try to just get away for a few days or a week, a month if I'm lucky. I haven't graduated to that level yet. I still have a child at home who's in his senior year of high school, but I try to get away and just do that, just silence. No agenda, no schedule, no meetings, no anything, just, life. And that is the beauty of silence. And I'll tell you a little funny thing, given what you just said. Several weeks ago, I wrote about the clouds. I wrote a commentary called Clever Clusters of Clouds with Clarity.
I love to play on words.
And, it was kind of, like you said, you pull out what people often forget and what they're just not thinking about. In relation to the weather, I think a lot of people tread through their daily routines thinking, oh, it's raining today, or the sun is out. But, if you pay closer attention, you'll know why the sun is out or why it's raining. And the clouds, a lot of times in the mornings, dictate to us the way in which the day is going to go. I mean, they basically speak to us. So I wrote this commentary on how the clouds relate to us and everyday life, and how they kind of guide us through. It's
That's right.
like a navigational system.
No, and see, again, when you start getting into metaphors and similes, you're absolutely correct. And it's so funny, two things that you said. And I told you the interview is always conversational. My questions come, or commentary comes from yours or the guest. I was in Jamaica a couple weeks ago, and exactly what you described is exactly what we did. My sister-in-law had just built a house that she's about to rent out with her. I understood why now God used in the Bible the reference to the ant on how busy they are. But I'm saying all that to say those type of things, like a lot of people would not make those type of observations or connect it to, in terms of if humans had that kind of work ethic that I saw on those ants.
Because they really did. They had a communal purpose.
They really did. You had to see this thing. I almost wish I would have videoed it for YouTube or something. But you had to see the number of them and the way they were diligently working on getting whatever this thing was. And then the second thing you said was this whole notion of silence. And Rochelle, one of the things that I've observed with people, particularly with kids and many adults for that matter, a lot of people are afraid of silence.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, I can get somewhere and turn everything off and be just as happy. I can just sit there and just think, and sometimes may not think.
It's just really amazing to hear somebody say, I have to get out. I know quite a few people who never, ever stay home. They have to be gone all the time. They have to be doing something. They have to be engaged with something. And they really don't understand the art of just sitting still sometimes. And it's it goes even deeper than that. It's so necessary for that part of our psyche that enables us to grow.
It really is.
Learn. Yeah. And so that's just amazing to me. And I'm just thinking, don't you want to enjoy the place where you pay rent or mortgage, or your home should be your comfort zone. For me, my abode is my everything. I know that if I want to escape any kind of external chaos, I can just come home and close my door and be in the silence. I've learned how to do that even in the midst of the chaos, which is a beautiful thing. But yes, silence it's definitely it's a gift.
No, it really is, and I'm going to share some more information with you. Again, let someone know that Rochelle and I are having a chat, or having a conversation, because we're working our way up to her book, Tuesday Morning Love, 52 commentaries and weekly affirmations to honor the soul within, to entice you to order the book, whether it's in e-format, whether it's in hardcover, soft copy, whatever. We'll let you know that a little bit later, but I'm going to share this with you, and then we're going to continue on with our interview.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't seen your lap in months. And even more stuff. But still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
3 to 6. Looking to hear from you, okay?
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
You are indeed listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley, and my guest this morning is Rochelle Soetan, and we are talking about a few different things, all leading up to her literary work. So, Rochelle, right before the break, we were talking about this whole notion of silence and just kind of unplugging and getting away and how important that is. How important is that to you in terms of your writing? Or were you able, or did your book now or that we're talking about in terms of the affirmation, did that come out of the silence? Or, I mean, kind of talk to us about now as we move into the last half hour of where did your thought process come from in terms of putting the book together?
Well, I think the thought process primarily came from the blog, which had been going for 5 years consecutively. And I never saw this coming. I never knew that the blog would turn into a book. Speaking of going into the silence, I always try to pull from things that are spirit-led. So in saying that, the book arrived as a gift from the universe. And all of these stories have been compiled into the book. So the book is a compilation of 52 stories and affirmations, 52 weekly commentaries, some of which came from the blog, many of which are new. Some are one-on-one personal interviews that I've had with just phenomenal, extraordinary, everyday people who wanted to tell their stories, had never told these stories on any platform. And, sometimes we are used as a vehicle to assist other people to get their voice heard. So that's pretty much the book in a whole. It's derived from the blog, and silence is very important. Blanche Williams, who is the author of How to Design Your Mind for Greatness, she's also the founder and executive director of the National Black Women's Town Hall. She had been creating these affirmations for greatness by design over several years, several years. And Spirit spoke to me regarding the affirmations. So what I've managed to do is add one of her affirmations onto each particular story, and every story is different. Every commentary tells a different story. And so...
Nice to you. People don't have to be nice, and when they are nice to you, I forget how that whole saying goes, when they are nice, they don't have to be nice to you, something along those lines. And one of the things I know my pastor and I, we always joke and laugh about it, but we are in line in terms of, we always say, and I rarely use the word hate, but if it's one thing I do hate is an ingrate. Mm-hmm. And that is just this whole notion of not being grateful and thankful, because the truth of the matter is, like you're saying here, those eyelids didn't have to crease open. Yes. That's the truth of the matter. There are folks that lay down last night that their eyelids did not crease open this morning, because I know when my alarm went off at 4:20, I got a bed. I felt like the cat that was like the claws were up on the ceiling with the fur up, because it was like I was sleeping really good, and the alarm like scared me. But at the same time, I was just so glad to be alive and to be awake. And thank you for another day.
Yes, everyday gratitude is what I practice wholeheartedly and sincerely in my life. And I try to get other people or encourage other people to do the same. You know, find something in your life, in your world that you're grateful for, because Lord knows we have plenty of things to be grateful for. We're just used to complaining. It's human nature. It's what we do. And I love what Meister Eckhart, you know, when he says, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you.
That's right.
It's enough.
That's right.
That really, it just really is as simplistic as that.
I am with him 1,000,000%. And it's funny that a lot of the folks that I'm seeing you reference, Deepak, Eckhart, all these, I have read many of their books. And I mean, they're always
journey, and we're really all just passing through.
That's right.
We don't know, we don't get that part. You know, we're really just passing through, and I think that's something that is a concept that could help people deal with death, maybe, possibly a little bit more.
Right.
We just understood that we're really not intended to be here forever.
Right.
So, you know, that should increase the daily gratitude.
That is so correct in terms of, and I laugh because I say in jest all the time, and part of it is serious. Is my goal is to be 100 and healthy. You know, I didn't say 100 and struggling. 100. He just turned 40, literally just turned 40, and between that Saturday that they had the party and that Wednesday night, he literally dropped dead out of the blue. So we just never know.
You know, I've known of 3 deaths in the past 30 days. Mostly 2 of them were young folks under the age of 20. And, you know, long life is beautiful, but it's not so much about the quantity as it is about the quality.
That's correct.
We have to put more focus on quality of life.
It absolutely, and I'm looking here again. I'm staying with your introduction here in terms of Tuesday Morning Love is a storybook about finding the light and the transformation of consciousness through love. Love of self, love of life, love of understanding. Love that stretches its wings. Love that teaches. Love that learns. Love that earns. Love of beauty. Love that forgives and sustains. And it's funny again, and I hate using the term funny because maybe that's not the term, because I don't think it's funny. I'm going to continue on. Love that transforms pain into power, and I'll tell you where I'm going at in a second. Love that comforts the emotive soul. Love that strengthens. Love that honors. Love that heals. Love that guides, gives back, and gains more love. Love that breaks down barriers and builds castles. Love that reflects. Love that delivers. Love that travels. Love that completes. Love that adjusts and provides courage. Love that supports family, friends, and forgotten ones. Love that rises. Love that creates. Love that is non-judgmental. Love that shapes. Love that lets go to flow. Love that designs. Love that shines. Love that speaks. Love that listens. Love that transcends light, time, and space. Love of culture. Love of possibility, truth, challenge, and change. Love that completes. And where I was going a couple of minutes ago prior to reading the entire list was this whole notion of the key to it all is love.
Yes. It really is. That's my mantra, Mark.
The key to it all is, and yet we have so much negativity and hatred in the world. And I see you have the Martin Luther King quote about light driving out darkness, but love is the only thing that's going to drive out hate. It really is. And the reason I said it's funny is because about a month ago, maybe a month and a half, maybe close to 2 months, and I don't know, time is going so fast, but there was a story about these 2 guys in New Orleans that were going around, and they had these signs, and all the signs said was love. It was a white background, the words love in red. And they were just going around New Orleans hanging them on telephone poles. It didn't say anything other than that, and they just was hanging them all around the city. And what they wanted to see was, with the fact that people were now coming across these signs that say love, would it kind of change some of the atmosphere or the environment of the city? So that's kind of like their little socio or psychological experiment. that they were seeing, because they were hoping that, you know what, maybe we're going to see a positive bump from the fact that people are seeing this word in front of them all the time. And I took on that ideal, and this year in my school, we're going to have those same signs posted all around the building. We're going to have the word love on the hallways, on the cafeteria, in the classrooms, on the pillars. So as the children and the teachers and the parents begin to walk around my school building, they're going to be constantly hit with that word love.
Love that.
And that's why whenever I started reading it, I said, oh, this is funny, because again, nothing is coincidental.
Absolutely not. You know, love is really the end all be all. And Tuesday Morning Love, the book, digs deep into self-love, because it really starts there. It begins and ends there. You know, if we can't have a universal transition without having a personal transition first.
Correct.
So it starts with us and it ends with us. And that is how you build communities. That is how you drive out hate. That is how you drive out darkness. But many people don't know how to love their relationships, everything, you know, and so that is where it all stems from, because if you love yourself enough, you're not going to go around hurting other people. You know, there's certain things that you're not going to do, because you're going to have such a regard for the lives of others just as you have for yourself. You know, you're going to want the best for them because you want the best for yourself.
This is true, because there's that old adage, that old saying, hurt people hurt people.
Oh, yeah.
And no question. There's no question. And in terms of, I would almost be able to say, because I'm flipping through the book as we're talking, and as our conversation is talking about self-love, and I know you're doing a whole lot of work with African-American women. I would almost say we could even take this up to the racial level, because sometimes I even wonder, as an African-American, do we as African-American people, are we suffering from this self-hatred thing? Some of the things that we get into as a race, you just have to wonder, do we as a race of people love ourselves?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we all know that it's no secret that African-American culture, you know, we have several issues in our culture, just as any other culture does. And so it's something that is deeply rooted. It's something that we really have to go back to the basics. One of the ways that we can do that is self-love, and teaching our children self-love.
Correct.
And our children's children self-love. And it's really just, it's a roller coaster that just keeps going. And so sometimes you have to break cycles.
Correct.
You know, because habits are very hard to break. And many people have been taught through, you know, decades of their families, you know, certain behaviors and to have certain characteristics, you know, selfishness, you know, it's all about me, it's never about the other person, I need to get mine, forget about you. It's not, that's never going to get us to where we need to be.
Correct.
It's just not going to happen. And so self-love is critical, so critical. And, you know, when you reach out to a sister or a brother or anyone, let it be genuine. You know, just don't say, you know, how are you doing? How are you doing? What can I do for you today?
Correct.
Because, you know, it's that lip service. You know, and
right.
We're all guilty of having done it at some point or another. It's just lip service. Be genuine with being what you're trying to be about. Because it comes back. It comes back.
Yes.
You know, it whether we put out positive energy or negative energy, it comes back to us.
Correct. And when we're saying self-love, I want to be real clear on this. We're not talking like being cocky or being arrogant. That's not what we're talking about with like, I'm all that and you're nothing. That's not what we're talking about.
That's ego.
Right. That's right. That's ego.
We have plenty of that.
Yes.
It gets us in trouble every single time.
Absolutely. There's a difference between ego and healthy self-love. And again, I have no problem with telling folks I love me some me. I would not have me any other way or any other color or any other anything, no other gender, no other. I love me and I'm confident in me and I'm happy with me. But that's not everybody's story. There are some folks that are turning around, looking in the mirror, saying the exact opposite. I hate me.
Well, I mean, we've all been through something or another. We've all experienced loss on some level. We've all experienced grief. We've all experienced different.
I mean, it's mental observation of what's going on inside you. Because you said, I see you said affirmations to honor the soul within the soldier. It didn't say anything about outside. It said within. Within.
And I get asked a lot, well, who is the soldier? Some people read the title and they think I'm talking about military men. No, the soldier is you. The soldier is me.
Correct.
We are the soldier. And the soldier has a heart, because you may find yourself standing on the other side of the line.
Correct.
And the world is on the other side. You're on one side and the world is on the other side. And you just have to build up enough courage that you believe in yourself and what you're doing, and it doesn't even matter.
This is correct. Now, in terms of the day of the week, I read the history and the background of it, but share with the listening audience, why not Friday morning love or Sunday morning love or Monday morning love? It's Tuesday morning love.
Well, Tuesday morning love was born from an email, an inspirational email. So I just think that is just the most hilarious thing in the world. But Tuesday has become my favorite day of the week.
And see, again, it is. I always love the behind the scenes, and that's the behind the scenes of the title. Because folks always ask, "What where did that song, where did that title come from? Where did those lyrics come from? That's why I asked the question in terms of, okay, why Tuesday versus Monday or any other day of the week? So now you have the history. It is Tuesday Morning Love, Volume 1, 52 commentaries and weekly affirmations to honor the soul within the soldier. So is it broken out to do one per week, or you can move at your own pace, or again, what's the thought process?
The beautiful thing about this book is that you can move throughout at your own pace. It's not a chapter novel. Each individual story serves a different purpose. And the 52 commentaries come from, they represent the 52 Tuesdays in the year. So each month is broken down into the applicable Tuesdays for that month, and each month in the book offers a theme by which you can follow, be it forgiveness or authenticity, peace, gratitude, courage, faith. It goes on and on and on.
All right, we're down to the point in the show where you have the opportunity to promote. You can say anything other than the actual dollar figure, but in terms of where you're going to be, how folks can get it, whether they can download it, whether they can order it, or your websites. This is your thing, is too much love. And the more folks that we can get the message out to in terms of loving people, loving each other. And we're not talking, if you get into the Martin Luther King speeches when he starts talking about the various types of love, we're not talking about romantic love. We're talking about agape love. We're talking about the love of life. Like we're talking about the universe, talking about the moon, the sun, the rain, the clouds, the breath that you breathe. That's the type of love we're talking about. And we need every last drop of that to combat the constant negativity. Last night, because this week, I think I've watched the news more than I have in a long time. Just happened to be turning the TV on. But I sat down last night, because I do stupid stuff like this. That's where the critical thinker came from. I sat down and I looked at my watch and I timed about how many stories in the first, about the flood. They ran a story about the beheading. They ran a story about, I forget something, but it was all within, because there's a lot you can get. If you take 10 to 20 to 30 seconds per story, you can get a lot in each minute. So I had already gotten to 6:09 in the broadcast. So even if you were talking, you're talking, if each one was 30 seconds, if you take 9 minutes, that's about 18 stories.
Well, there's a lot going on in the world, Mark, and my mantra is love and light.
Yes.
Go to the light.
Yes.
Go to the light.
And that's why I'm encouraging folks as we wrap up to get your copy, because before the day's end, I will have downloaded mine. Tuesday Morning Love, 52 commentaries and weekly affirmations to honor the soul within the soldiers. Rochelle, thank you so much for rising early or allowing me to interrupt your prayer and study time, meditation time. I'm so glad you took the time to join us this morning. And for those of you in the listening audience, again, it is Tuesday Morning Love. The author is Rochelle Soetan. It's Soetan. Your websites.
Oh, the website is www.tuesdaymorninglove.com. Thank you for having me, Mark.
Now, that's as easy as it gets. Now, we've been talking about Tuesday Morning Love all morning long. So the website is as easy, tuesdaymorninglove.com. All right. And thank you again so much for joining us. And again, I'll be in touch in terms of all the equipment. I always make this disclaimer. It looks like everything was functioning the way it should. So before the end of the day or the end of the weekend, you will get an MP3 link that you can share in any manner that you choose.
Great. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Well, you have a blessed day, and we will be in touch.
Thank you.
Take care now.